10 years ago, the Spurs lost their only game in the redemption finals. Game 2 of the redemption finals occurred 10 years ago today, June 8, 2014. LeBron James scored 35 points, including 3 of 3 from 3, to lead the Heat to a 98-96 win. Manu Ginobili made a three-pointer at the buzzer to make the final score closer, but the important thing was that the Spurs had lost home court advantage only 2 games into the finals. As alluded to below, a key to the Spurs' loss was going 12 for 20 from the free throw line. A more normal 15 for 20 from the line would have made Manu's buzzer-beating 3 a game winner. As noted in my post about Game 1, these finals occurred several months before I was lucky enough to be invited to join Pounding the Rock. As a result, this is my summary of the game written the next day on my old-time personal blog spot. No cramps, no bloating, only baskets for LeBron, Game 2. A stat I stole. Dating from the 2011-12 season, up to and including last night's Game 2, the Heat and the Spurs have played 14 games. In those 14 games, the Heat have scored a total of 1,385 points and the Spurs have scored 1,386 points. Manu's clutch and meaningless 3 at the buzzer last night put the Spurs up 1 point for this stat. And another stat I stole, in the third quarter of Game 2, the teams combined for 69 points with only 2 turnovers between them. That, my friends, is some good playing. All this led to the result, a down-to-the-wire game that the Heat won. You will hear that this game was decided in the last minute, or perhaps in the last 1:17, which is when Bosh made the three-pointer to change a 1-point deficit into a 2-point lead. In fact, games are never decided in the last minute. All the plays that happen earlier also decide the final score. Put another way, the points scored or allowed in the first quarter happen to count just as much as the points scored or allowed in the fourth. Put yet another way, I used to tell my players, this isn't double jeopardy. In the TV game show that has been on the air since before television was invented, correct questions in the second round count double. In basketball, points in the second half count the same as those scored earlier. Which means that all these earlier moments helped decide Game 2. Second quarter, Spurs up 30-19. Bellinelli misses wide open 3, so the Spurs don't score. On the subsequent possession, both Bellinelli and Diaw go with the roller in a pick-and-roll situation, instead of some guy with the ball named Ray Allen. Allen drills the wide-open 3. After a steal by Kawhi Leonard, Thiago Splitter decides to go coast-to-coast with the ball, crashing into traffic at the rim. Unfortunately, Splitter doesn't make it all the way to the coast, instead running into a roadblock near San Bernardino. The Spurs don't score. The next time Splitter gets the ball, he wisely gives it to another Spur. Unfortunately, that Spur then gives the ball back to Splitter, who then decides to give it to Miami. The Spurs don't score. So even though Miami only scored the gift 3 to Allen, the Spurs missed the chance to go up something like 37-22. Instead, when the Spurs miss a couple more shots, Miami decides to score some themselves. On an inbounds play in front of the Spurs bench with 3 seconds left, Splitter set a screen away from the ball. Immediately slipped the screen and cut to the rim, was hit with a perfect pass, and airballed the layup. Coaches love drawing up these types of plays. Less so when your 7-footer doesn't hit the rim with the shot. Of course, the other points given away were the 4 consecutive free throws the Spurs missed after the Mario Chalmers flagrant foul elbow to Parker's rib cage. That elbow could have broken a rib, and certainly led to Parker short-arming each of his 2 free throws. For good measure, and perhaps in a show of solidarity, Tim Duncan then immediately short-armed his 2 free throws moments later. 4 points the Spurs didn't score, and which would have been nice to have in the bank during the last 5 minutes. In those last 5 minutes, Miami largely went big. They removed Chalmers, played LeBron as point guard, kept Birdman as a 5, with Bosh Voldemort as 4, with Wade and Allen as wings. This put LeBron on Parker and allowed the Heat to switch most screens, effectively boxing up the Spurs offense. One other reason the Spurs offense got boxed up is Duncan's inability to score on a post-up. After the game, Pop was talking about the necessity for the Spurs to move the ball and players in order to score. It's how we have to score, Popovich said. We can't put it in somebody's hands and have them create everything for us. It's got to be a group effort and we didn't do that. That puts a lot of pressure on everything else. It means we're going to have to be perfect on defense. We can't miss 4 free throws in a row, those sorts of things. You move it or you die. In the old days, the Spurs could put it in Duncan's hands and he would create. He would score if not double-teamed, or pass to shooters and cutters if doubled. Now, virtually all of Duncan's points are created by someone else,